and we're going to be talking about TNA Destination X, their pay-per-view that they recently just had Thursday. Overall, this pay-per-view, it wasn't amazing. It had a few good matches, but you know, we'll talk about that as it goes along. Dixie Carter comes out with I I call it her pack now because she has like 20 guys with her. She's got a whole bunch of WWE and ECW people now with her.
Jackson and Snitsky, right?
Yeah, and then she's got EC3, which was also Derek Bateman from WWE, and then she's got Spud, and now she's got Rhino with her, and he was ECW. So
yeah, that's right. Rhino actually lost to one of my good friends in the independents. Shout out if you're listening, Jonathan Smash from the Chicago area, the Chicago Muscle, beat Rhino clean in the independents right before he made his TNA debut recently.
Wow, that's impressive.
Jonathan Smash, the Chicago Muscle, he's all over YouTube. Check him out. You will be entertained.
That's impressive. I'll talk to him about that. She's saying that she loves us and like the audience. She was talking about to the audience. She was saying that she loves us, and she's just like, oh, I'm gonna give you ECW back and everything like that. And it's just like, Dixie, these guys are like 40 and 50 years old. You know, they can't do much more anymore. You know, and she was saying that, you know, she's going to bring that back for us. And then EC3 challenged Bully Ray and Devon and Tommy Dreamer and another guy of their choosing in a 8-man tag match. But it's going to be, forgot what they said it was going to be. It was going to be like a hardcore match, some kind of hardcore match.
That sounds
pretty much where anything goes. Yeah, pretty much where anything goes. It's going to be crazy, tables, everything, everywhere. And yeah, and that was pretty much that. And segment wasn't great, you know, Dixie just running her mouth again like usual. And yeah, it was pretty much just a challenge them for next week. They didn't have a match this week. They're going to have it this Thursday coming up.
So they wasted the opening segment this week to set up next week's main event instead.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they did this whole pay-per-view. They did a few matches with that, where they set up a few matches. It was kind of weird. Like they didn't have enough time to put all these matches in. So like their second part of their pay-per-view is going to be next week. It's kind of weird.
They'll probably have next week be part 2 of the pay-per-view. They've done that.
Yeah, exactly. This was the match of the night. What I think this was the only match I really liked other than the main event was the Wolves versus the Hardys, the tag team titles. I joke with my brother about this and say that I don't like Davey Richards because he attacked Seth one time in ROH. I'm totally joking when I say this. I just give him a hard time just because I think it's funny. But it was a really good match. They won with they did the Wolves won with like they had he had I think it was Eddie Edwards had him in like a powerbomb thing, and then Davey Richards put him in a backcracker, so it was like a powerbomb backcracker. It was something. Yeah, it was like it was like a reverse code breaker, but then he had him in a powerbomb too. It was interesting. It was a really cool move. Never really seen it before. And,
the Wolves are innovative, and to have them match up with the Hardys in the stream matchup, it's a shame. There's so much bad going on with TNA, and we hear the rumors about Vince Russo and TNA possibly not getting picked up by Spike, which certainly has been the big story dominating TNA this week, overshadowing what they really, despite like the hit or miss vibe of this Impact or this pay-per-view, they really have been stepping up with these New York shows, and it's a shame that, you know, this Vince Russo thing comes up, and it seems like that has just overshadowed anything good that TNA has done recently.
Definitely. The match was very good, though. And, I mean, it was the match of the night, which I think, in my opinion, both very good tag teams. And, you know, that's the thing with TNA going under. You know, what's going to happen to all these guys? Like, I can see the Hardys maybe going back to WWE because they like the Hardys. But like What about the Wolves? What about Bobby Roode? What about, all these guys? Austin Aries. Austin Aries
I
maybe
know.
ROH. I'm thinking a lot of these guys would go back to ROH.
You
That's what I
already
would
seen it
think.
with AJ Styles, Frankie, and Daniels.
Definitely. I love both of them too. I'm so excited they're back in ROH. But yeah, it's gonna be bad for TNA if they don't either persuade Spike TV to renew their contract or find another place,
I mean,
another channel.
honestly, I don't know why they still were employing Vince Russo. Obviously, the rumor of the guy from PWI outing Vince Russo is still being employed with the company, which resulted in a Twitter war, which that week TMZ broke the news that Spike TV was not renewing the deal with TNA, which it could be a power move just to get TNA back at a lower price because I don't think they want to pay the price they had been given Tixie, which either way that would hurt the company as well. We saw that with WWE. They didn't get the numbers they thought they'd get with their network renewal with USA and all that, the NBC Universal renewal. So I feel like the chances are still possible that they could stay on Spike. And I've heard a rumor maybe MTV. Maybe it's not the end for TNA, but it's certainly a dark time for TNA and a scary time. You mentioned how many of these guys are WWE really going to take? Maybe a handful, maybe Bobby Roode, maybe. I don't even know if they would take Bobby Roode. Like Austin Aries, I
Yeah,
don't think they
they're pretty packed themselves. I mean, Vince
the
is losing
Wolves already
money,
had a
so
tryout in NFC and didn't work out, which is why they're in TNA.
yeah. It's sad. It's sad because I really like some of these guys. They have some good talent on TNA.
Great talent, a guy like Samoa Joe. What has he done? Like they've just. Here's the thing. I feel like TNA in 2009 they hit their peak in every way possible, and then obviously bringing in Hogan and those that bits off and everybody. That was the beginning of the end. They took away the six-sided ring. They jobbed out AJ. They jobbed out Joe. The main event mafia disassembled. Everything that was good about TNA stopped. And ever since then, they tried to bring back the six-sided ring now. They tried to bring back the main event mafia. It just never works out because they're trying to hinge on the past. And besides, like the Wolves, who obviously are Ring of Honor based, what have they really done that's original lately? That's been good. It's
Yeah.
not ECW reboot. You talked about Dixie Carter, talk about ECW. How many times can we see an ECW reboot in a company? Whether it was back in the 05, 06, 07, 08 era and WWE with the one night stands and then the sci-fi show, or we saw it with TNA a couple years ago, Hardcore Justice and all of that. Tommy has his own fed, Extreme Reunion, Extreme Rising, which does very well in the independents, and let that be that. But it's great that they have all the ECW guys back on TV, but as you said, these guys are in their mid-40s, they can't carry a company anymore. I think Tommy, from a business end, could be a great booker. And maybe if TNA brought in wrestlers who were bookers or people with a wrestling background instead of just these retreads like Vinny Russo or Hollywood people that don't know what they're doing, maybe they'd be better off because they do have the pieces on the team.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. The next one was they're doing pretty much was an X Division. It was like a triple threat match, but they were having three of them for the number one contender, I guess, for the well, not for the number, for pretty much whoever gets the belt, because it's obviously Austin Aries had it, but he traded it in, so it's pretty much known as the X Division. And it was the first match was Manic, Zeman Ion, and Low Key. I want to make a comment about Low Key. This might be embarrassing, but
Great
my
to see
brother
him
just
back.
noticed this, and he told me, well, he's noticed it for a few weeks, but I just noticed it. I called him Maven too because he looks like Maven, and then I say, wait, you know who he really looks like? He looks like Cavell from the WWE NXT season 2. He's just like, that is who he is. I'm just like, are you serious? I'm just like, I didn't know that.
Low-key,
So that was pretty funny.
all the same person.
Yeah, definitely. That was pretty funny. And he won too. Low Key won with it was kind of a fast match. It really wasn't, all these matches too, for the X division, all three sets, you could tell who was gonna win. You knew who was gonna win. It was way too predictable, and that's why I didn't like this pay-per-view, was because it was way too predictable. It's kind of
And
like
again,
a lot of, It's,
TNA hanging their hat in the past on the nostalgia. Low-key was a star in the X Division years ago. At this point, he's being brought in to try to regenerate the past. The same thing with Homicide, who was brought in for this show, who obviously has been in Ring of Honor and CCW and the Independents for years and has gone back and forth with TNA. At this point, why not bring back Hernandez, too, and bring back LAX? Why not? Everything else is a reboot.
yeah, definitely. It's just the whole thing's pretty crazy. They're trying to just do anything that they can to save TNA, and it's just like I think it's a little too late. But yeah,
it's a shame it didn't start a year ago or 6 months ago. I think they would have had a chance if they would have. They waited too late, and now it's just like.
definitely. They started doing this like 2 weeks before they actually knew Spike TV wasn't going to renew their contract. I mean, it was just crazy.
That put their money in terms of like to save this company is the New York tapings.
Yeah. And then the next thing that happens, this is just a segment. Well, it's a segment, not a match. James Storms comes out and he talks about he's Sonata's new mentor and friend. And you know what the funny thing is I'm really surprised that they turned Sonata heel. I really am. He doesn't seem like the heel kind of guy to me. I mean, I feel like he should have just stayed face, but I guess they were trying to look for something for James Storm to do. And so, because I mean, I don't know. I never really liked James Storms. So I guess that's why they're putting them together now as a heel unit. But
James Storm, fans were ready to like him a couple years ago, and then they went with Bobby Roode as the heel, and since then, James Storm has kind of floated there. I mean, he's a TNA original, former champ. I respect him greatly. Did great work with Beer Money, great work with AMW, and has had a great solo run. But at this point, what's there left to do? Mentoring this guy. He was getting over as a face. Now they hotshot it and turn him heel. What else is new? That's what TNA does. They hotshot things before they should happen. Not surprised.
yeah, they went with the right decision though when they did that with Bobby Roode though, because Bobby Roode I think is more talented than James Storms, but that's just my opinion. And I feel like they, because I mean, I don't know, it's just I always thought that he was kind of the star in Beer Money was Bobby Roode, but I don't know, I might be being a little bit biased here, but that's my opinion.
Commodity, but I think Storm is a little bit better than you would give him credit for, but at the same time, his time has come and gone. He's at the back nine, as they say.
Yeah. And then this is the start of the second set of the matches for the X Division, and it's Sonata, Brian Cage, and Crazy Steve. And Sonata won with the suplex cover, kind of like what Antonio Cesaro was doing with Paul Heyman, like the suplex, and then yeah. But this was very predictable. We obviously knew he was going to win. Sonata was going to win, and like I mean, this is pretty.
Sonata, and then the other guy, So I mean, well, 10G coming back. So Sonata's been a focus, not a surprising one.
Yeah. Obviously, he's probably going to win the title. I can see him winning the title. They might give it to Low-Key, but I have a feeling that Sonata's going to end up winning this whole thing.
Agreed. Put it on the younger guy.
Yeah. Then Bully Ray, Diva, and Tommy Dreamer come out, and they answer pretty much EC3's challenge. They say it was stupid for them to challenge them. They're going to get hurt pretty much, and yeah, it's an 8 tag team hardcore match, yeah. So it's pretty much anything goes. It's next week. They accept it, and I don't know who their fourth guy is going to be. I have a feeling it might be, it could be, I don't know, though. I think he's hurt technically right now. That's why they made him DM. I was going to say it could be Kurt Angle, but I think it's probably going to be another ECW guy. I just don't know who it's going to be.
I'm actually personal friends with Craig Dudley, who lives in Rhode Island, and he's pretty much retired from the business. So I'm gonna eliminate Spike Dudley from any Spike speculation on this.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was one of their first of like 3 matches that they made for next week, which makes no sense. Like I said, I guess they just ran out of time. They knew they weren't going to have enough time for all these matches. So pretty much, like I said, like me and Joe said, it's going to be part 2 next week of the pay-per-view. Next is Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. They're talking in the back. And Kurt Angle just says, get ready for later on tonight, and, you know, there's going to be some surprises coming on, and whatever they were talking about. It was pretty just a basic thing. And Samoa Joe is later on is going to be in the X Division qualifying match, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Velvet Sky and Angelina Love, there's another backstage segment. They pretty much they need to focus on them, and like they didn't. Angelina Love didn't get her rematch and stuff, which I think she did. I'm pretty sure she did, but you know how she likes to act. I love Angelina Love, but you know she's a drama queen. But she says pretty much that they need to focus on them, and that this isn't fair, that, you know, Taryn Terrell just comes back and all the spotlight's on her, and that's why they attack them, and that they pretty much need to be focusing more on them. But yeah, I like the beautiful people though. What do you think, Joe? Do you like the beautiful people?
I've always been a fan, going back to their whole career in TNA, and I'm glad they brought them back. But again, it goes to what I was talking about earlier. Yet another reboot. Whether it's trying to reboot the Main Event Mafia or bringing back Low-Key or bringing back the Six-Sided Ring, it just screams to me yet another reboot. I love them together. I love Velvet as a heel. I love Angelina as a heel. I love them together. I love them. I feel like they were the reason why Lay Cool was created, and Lay Cool was actually an original ripoff of them. They were very influential, one of the best female tag teams in wrestling history in the 2000s. But it's now 2014, and you know, they're there trying to help the Knockouts division, but at this point, a lot of it, I feel like I've seen it before.
Yeah. Angelina Love has pretty much done everything that she could have. Like, I really wanted to see her in WWE when she retired from TNA, but obviously she brought back. But hopefully, if TNA does go under, then hopefully she does go to WWE. I think they can use her. You know, she's got the pretty face and everything. She's skinny. She's got the body that they like. So, hopefully...
I think Madison would get a call. I don't know if the others would. I've always thought Madison has that look that they would like.
Yeah, I love Madison Rayne, too. She's another one I really like. But, yeah, hopefully, you know... And I like Velvet Sky, too. I like both of them, but,
Let the pigeons loose!
She's got the female... that's what my brother always says, the female pedigree. Female.
Yeah.
And then this is the third qualifying match for the X Division. But first, Samoa Joe comes out and he talks about what the fans really wanted, and that Kurt Angle gave it to him. And he's saying that Kurt Angle's making it better for the fans, bringing back the Six-Sided Ring and all that good stuff. And he's saying that Kurt Angle's doing a good job and pretty much sucking up to him. But, yeah, and then Tigre Uno and Homicide are the other two in this match.
Homicide?
Yeah, Homicide was in this match, yep.
Who else besides Homicide, Joe?
Tigre Uno.
Oh, Tigre Uno from Japan.
Yeah, that guy. And Samoa Joe won, of course. This was another predictable match. We obviously seen this coming. And he won with the Muscle Buster. I don't know, though, now, because actually I think I forgot Samoa Joe won, so I actually think Samoa Joe might win. Either that or Sonata is still going to win, and then James Storms is probably going to distract, you know, Samoa Joe, and then...
I can definitely see this being
between Samoa Joe and Sonata. I see them definitely feuding for the belt.
And why else
this goes.
corner. Yeah, I mean, obviously Sonata can handle his own, but if you go against Joe, maybe there's a reason to have a former TNA champ in your corner.
Yeah, definitely. This was an average match. It was actually pretty fast, though. Um, all these matches were pretty fast. They had like way too much backstage stuff, like you said earlier. Like they just, I think we were off the air when we said this though, but we were talking about how they have way too much backstage stuff, and it's just, that's pretty much what this whole pay-per-view was. It's just like they could have fit another match in there and made these matches longer, but it's just like, no, they wanted to fill all this backstage stuff in. Um, Abyss is backstage, and he says he wants Bram and him to fight next week. So this is the second match that was set up for next week. And that's probably what's going to happen for the knockouts, too, is they're probably going to have another match for next week. And he says that he's got 2 tickets to the Monster Ball, and saying that, when he hit him with Janice, like, that was uncalled for, and he's going to regret doing that. And pretty much that he'll see him next week. And Abyss, he's really funny. I really like him. I think he's actually a pretty good talker. He does some pretty good promos when he's needed. What do you think about Abyss's talking? I think he's pretty funny.
Well, I feel like Abyss, again, he's been in TNA since day one, so I really respect Abyss's contributions to TNA, and it's great to see him still stick around. And I don't like his current look. I feel like it's too much rip-off of Kane, especially the mask. But as far as his personality goes, it's, back in the day, he used to have Father James Mitchell talk for him. He just did the grunts and groans. But over time, and I think the Joseph Parks character actually helped, because it helped him develop more of that talking side. He's kind of blended that all together, and almost like JBL, where maybe you didn't think JBL was that great of a talker, but over time, JBL kind of grew into that. It almost reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had the main event, and this was one of the matches that was actually pretty good. I will admit this was actually pretty good. Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries. They're talking now. My brother told me to talk about this today, and he said they announced that Bobby Lashley is going to MMA. I think it was September, they said. And it's just like, so why do you have the belt on him? Obviously, he wanted his last run, probably. And so they said, okay, we're going to give you the belt for a couple months. And obviously, they're setting this up. So I would think that Bobby Roode's going to beat him, because I don't know who else they would have beat him, because if Austin Aries didn't win and Eric Young didn't win, obviously Bobby Roode's, especially since he's feuding with MVP, I definitely see Bobby Roode winning the title. But yeah, he really needs to take the belts off of him. I don't get that. I don't get why they actually gave him a title run when they know he's going to MMA, unless this is a way to keep him to TNA, to change his mind.
Well, Bellator and TNA had worked together in the past. You saw King Mo and Rampage do appearances for TNA, so I feel like there's a working promotional agreement with Bellator and TNA, as opposed to UFC and other places. If he was going to UFC, he would have to drop the belt. There would be no choice. Dana White would not allow. That's why Kurt Angle never went to UFC. They were close a couple times, but Dana wanted Kurt to be completely done with wrestling, and Kurt didn't want to do that. But as far as like Bellator and the minor organizations, don't be surprised if Bobby Lashley keeps the belt for a little while and they make Bobby chase him, and maybe Bobby gets him in October, probably at the Japanese.
It's gonna be a few more months. I think they're probably gonna have him in MMA and with TNA, just because TNA's schedule is so laid back. They tape like a month ahead of time in like a week. So they work like hell for a week, and then they get like 3 weeks off and breaks, and then maybe a few house shows they'll do. But, TNA's schedule is very laid back, so that is probably why they're going to maybe let him do MMA with TNA for like a month or two, just because of the schedule so light. Another thing with Bobby Lashley, he did win. He won with a spear. Um, his spear. I want to talk about his spear for a minute. His spear. Maybe it's just me. I do not think his spear is very good at all.
I liked it, not once. It reminds me a lot of Batista's spear, very lackluster. And the spear, to me, is such an overutilized move. I mean, they
It
just
is.
brought Ryan. That, pardon my language, that motherfucker can spear. The gore is someone running through you. You know what I mean? Out of respect for him. I mean, Lashley's been using this off and on since he was in WWE, the spear. And it seems like Lashley's never really had that great finish. Like, even Roman Reigns uses the spear. I feel like the Superman punch is more signature to him, and maybe that'll be used more and more as his quick finisher, and the spear will be more of a setup. I mean, Goldberg, by all means, invented the spear, and he used it with a football player's mentality and ran through people, and it was devastating. Edge's spear, not as devastating looking, but he did the facial expressions and all that, and that made
Edge's
the
spear. I love Edge's spear. I think he does it very well. Him and Goldberg are like the two that do it. Yeah. Roman
right.
Reigns does it good too, but it's overplayed. Bobby Lashley does not do it well.
I mean, you see Big Show use it, Batista. It's almost like every big guy tries to use it now. Like, no, it should be a special move. When Goldberg used it,
it was a good spear too. But I think she needed something else too. But it's overplayed. Definitely, definitely overplayed. But that was it was a good match. And like I said, Bobby Lashley won. So like I said, the only thing that I could see them doing possibly is having Bobby Roode win. And because I don't see anyone else winning. If Austin Aries didn't win, I mean, who else would they have? Like, what are they gonna bring James Storm back into this title? I mean, turn him face. I mean, they don't really have very many faces unless they're gonna do like Kurt Angle, but there's no way he's going to. There's talk about Kurt Angle going back to WWE. Obviously, that's been talked for a while. And and he wants to, and Jeff Hardy too. Jeff Hardy says that he wants to finish up at WWE too. So both of them will probably be fine if TNA goes under. But yeah, it's just there's not very many big faces right now except for Bobby Roode really. And Austin Aries.
He's really the only original guy left that they haven't ruined, especially with AJ leaving, Kazarian and Daniels leaving, Joe really being such damaged goods. I mean, you talked about the match being that good. Joe always used to steal the show. I feel like his work rate has been affected by his lack of push throughout the years, and just since 2009, he's just really stagnated. You know, they put him together with Magnus for a while, and that ran its course. They tried to reboot the Main Event Mafia, and that didn't work. And they always just, I look at guys like Steen and Elgin nowadays, and I almost feel like they represent what Joe was. When Joe left from Ring of Honor and went to TNA, had that undefeated streak with the bloody towel, he was such a force. And I thought at that point he was the most interesting thing going, not only in TNA, but in professional wrestling. And I'm a huge Joe fan, but I just feel like his work rate has been affected, and he had a chance to go to WWE along with Bobby Roode 5 years ago. I feel like they both made mistakes passing it up. AJ Styles,
definitely. Because Bobby Roode, he reminds me a lot of Triple H in a way. I don't know if that's weird to say, but he really does. Like the whole talking when he's a heel, and just everything, the kind of the look and everything. It reminds me a lot of Triple H, and I love them both. And maybe that's why, I really became a fan of Bobby Roode. But
do you know who trained him?
Mm-mm.
Val Venus, someone who actually obviously worked for Triple H a lot in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's
by
nice.
Rick Rude. And I can never figure out if Bobby Roode is related to Ravishing Rick Rude or not. Some people have said yes, some people have said no. I'm gonna go with no because I feel like if he was, it would be highly touted at this point. But.
Yeah, I think they would have already used it and stuff, and it would have been very well known. So, because stuff like that's well known. It's like the people are kind of like Roman. How that's well known that he's second cousin with The Rock. Obviously that was like well known like the first day he came to WWE. Like everyone started to know about that, so.
But
Rick would be all over.
I know that for a fact. Rick Rude trained Val Venus, and Val Venus trained Bobby Roode. So maybe that's the connection, and he chose it to honor Rick Rude in wrestling.
Yeah.
But either way, Bobby Roode, I could see the comparison to Hunter. Maybe not exact, but they're similar. They both use a spine buster. They both have similar facial expressions. They both work similar as a heel.
And Joe left. But yeah, they're very similar. Um, they both, I don't know, it's just they both very good, very talented, but I am worried about Bobby Roode though because I'm sure WWE will pick him up, but I don't know. I mean, if Joe says if that's what the case is, if he really did turn down WWE, I don't know if they're really gonna want him back. I mean, what is he gonna do? Like be like, oh yeah, TNA just went under, so now can I go to WWE? And it's just like, gee, we kind of gave you that opportunity, and screwed that up. But I mean, I feel like if they really like him enough, and I think he's a good enough wrestler that they're not going to be stupid. WWE is if TNA does go under, and I think WWE is going to bring him back up though. But yeah, the whole thing, the pay-per-view was okay, and yeah, but I think Joe left. He's trying to call me on the other side. But the pay-per-view was decent. It wasn't amazing. It was pretty much the match was Wolves and Hardys. But the whole thing was pretty good. It was okay, but I think I'm gonna end it here because Joe's having a hard time getting back in. So I was pretty much finishing it up anyways. But subscribe to Joe on his channels. I think it's called Strike Down. I'm gonna put the links in the description after this video uploads. But yeah, and we will see you in a few minutes for SmackDown. Thanks a lot. This has been Wrestling Throwdown with Haley and Joe.